Okay, let's go. Episode 6 of the England One Cap podcast. Completed a five-a-side last week, so now we're pushing towards a start on 11, I think.
Yeah.
My name's Ryan
Or
Prendergast.
a seven-a-side,
If you're
that way inclined. Yeah.
Let's do our names first, I reckon. Robert Prendergast, what's your name?
Callum Shaw.
Well, if it was a six-a-side, I'd very much like to start adding Patrick Bamford into this six-a-side team.
Yeah.
But it's a bit premature, I think.
It is a bit. I mean, it wasn't the best debut ever. I don't think it was necessarily his fault. I think he'll have more chances. So we'll have to hold back a bit on Paddy for now.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want this to be an England debut podcast, because then that's what it is. We have to wait enough time. But for anyone who doesn't believe us, I'll show the text messages on the Instagram. We said it, didn't we? We said about Bamford being a one cap, and we even said this international break could be the one. So
yeah, I think even in person we've said Bamford got big potential for a while now.
He does stink of a one cap, doesn't
he? He really does. He really does. Personally, I hope he gets more, but for the sake of this great podcast, I hope he doesn't.
Let's do it. Let's predict a one cap that hasn't played yet. Let's do it. I know it's hard.
Oh. Okay.
We would have said Bamford.
Yeah, I've got another Leeds player straight off the bat. Jack Harrison.
Oh, Jack Harrison. Okay.
But in order for that to happen, we'd have to have a lot of injuries or wingers not playing in like friendly games or something, which could happen. But
I genuinely had a theory about Mark Noble getting one game this season, just as a legacy thing. I don't feel happy saying that whilst being recorded, but yeah, it's not going to happen now.
No.
I'm going to say Nathan Teller.
Okay.
Because
bit out there.
He's out there because I had like this period where his name just kept coming up, and I was like, right, maybe that's a sign. But also Southampton, level one cap. So I was looking at Southampton squad, thinking there has to be another one cap somewhere in this squad. So yeah, that's my thinking.
Southampton past and present for one caps is remarkable.
Yeah, or even just like 2 or 3 cap England players.
Yeah.
Always,
yeah.
But forget Southampton. We're talking about someone who plays in a different red and white striped top for most of his career.
But not now.
But not now. Oh, that was a bit of a stretch, that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's just say his name. Ryan Shawcross. Centre-back. Football player. Played for Stoke a lot. Was good at being a centre-back.
Tall.
Yeah. Best defensive partnership of all time. Ryan Shawcross, Robert Hoof. No nonsense.
Brilliant. The amount of goals from corners as well as the big clearances. Oh, yeah. I love it.
Imagine running towards Shawcross and Robert Hoof. You'd be petrified, wouldn't you?
You'd have to be a better man than one of us, that's for sure.
I would run the other way. But, okay. Started Manchester United, believe it or not. Which I don't believe. I've read it. I've seen it. I still don't believe it. It just seems a bit weird.
Yeah, it's I always just kind of forget that he started at Man U. Just one of those players where you just always associate him with the team that he was with all his career, Stoke. But yeah, Man U. There we go.
2 games. Do you remember? It's weird. I really vividly remember one of his games. First game, or was that the second game? No, first game was against Crewe in the Cup.
Yeah.
They won 2-1.
Yeah.
But the second game was when United lost to Southend.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
he came on the 90th minute. So that's the second cap.
Yeah, I've only seen photos of him in Man U. I don't remember. I do remember that Southend game though. I don't remember him playing. But if he came on right at the end, then that's probably why. So
yeah, for some reason, I really vividly remember when growing up, me and R. James had a bunk bed. I remember Mum coming in and telling me about 2 football results. One was that Southend game for some reason, and another one Cap link was telling me that David Nugent scored for England because me and James wanted to score, but we were allowed to stay up. Yeah, thanks, Mum. I don't think it makes me a big man for slagging off a bloke who's nearly 80, but Fergie was always a dickhead when it came to cup games, mate. Playing like nobodies.
Yeah, he was a bit, which is obviously weird because obviously won a lot of cups as well. I suppose it's that thing. I mean, a lot of big teams still do it now. They play reserve teams all the way until they end up getting to the semi-final, and then next thing you know, it's a first team out.
But I hate it. I think it's so. I think it's disrespectful. I tell you who. I don't necessarily love Pep. Pep does it. Pep goes in to batter little teams, and I love it.
He does. No, I love that as well. Because my problem with when you play a complete reserve team for like 3 or 4 rounds, and then you get to the big rounds, and all of a sudden you've got your first team out. But then they always keep the reserve keeper in. They're like, oh yeah, it's out of respect. He's played the whole tournament. Well, then what about all the other players that have played the whole tournament as well? And now you're taken out.
I just think for the fans of the smaller team, they want the big team to come, and they want to think that their team can beat the best players, And it's like it's 1-0 down against Southend. He brings on Ryan Shawcross to the 90th minute. You don't give a shit, That's just not showing respect for the competition or the club he's playing against. Is my opinion.
He didn't end up putting him up front, did he?
I don't know.
Because that would have been even worse.
But anyway, he's 79. I'll leave him alone. But
yeah,
when United played Yeovil the second time, Mourinho, everyone in Yeovil loved Mourinho because he came just chatting to all the mascots for hours and was just an absolute gentleman. Played a strong team, gave Alexis Sanchez his debut.
Yeah,
just love it. But
yeah, that's how it should be done.
2 games for Manchester United before he was shipped off to the Manchester United B team, Lone East team, also known as Royal Antwerp, where played a season. United love sending people on loan to Royal Antwerp, don't they? Well, definitely used to.
Yeah, definitely used to. I'm not sure if it's still a thing anymore or not.
I don't know.
I can't think of any recent ones, but yeah, they definitely used to love it. It's weird. Yeah, a lot of teams have these like feeder clubs. I think a lot of people call them.
Yeah. What's the Chelsea one? Vitesse? Is that how you say it?
Vitesse. I think Vitesse.
That's where Mason Mount went, wasn't it?
Yeah. They've had a load of plans. I'm surprised. We were just talking about Bamford didn't end up there at one point, but yeah, I think they've had a load of players there. So
went off to Royal Antwerp for a season, as all good United players do. But he was never. I don't know. It seemed like he never was in a United plan, because as soon as he came back, he went out on loan again to Stoke.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming through as a centre back in an era where Man U are very, they're still the best, if not one of the best teams, and they had solid, Ferdinand and Vidic. I mean, come on,
Doesn't get better.
You're never going to feature in plans for the next 5 years at least. So yeah, he had to get on with his career, didn't he? Get playing.
It worked out well for him. He went to Stoke on loan. Next thing you know, he was spending 14 years there. So it obviously worked out for him well. He went on loan to January. Then they bought him in January for 1 million, rising to 2 million, which is an absolute bargain when you get 14 years out of a player, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great bit of business. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to look back and judge whether 1 million was a lot for a championship team in those days. I'm not too. I assume it probably was a fair amount. A lot of teams probably still have a lot of money.
It was their club record.
Yeah, so, well, there you go then. Probably was a fair bit at the time, but spending big money at the time for young English centre backs, some things just never quite change, do they?
Yeah, is Ben White 50 times better than him? I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. Remains to be seen.
I don't know. Got me a clean sheet bonus on fantasy this week, so Ben. 2 caps, not a 1 cap though, so forget about Ben White.
Out of here.
Scored in his debut, Ryan Shawcross against Cardiff.
Yep.
How funny is Stoke in that era? It's just
how funny Stoke. Full stop. You didn't need it. You didn't need it ever.
It's like I just can't see. Okay, minor spoiler alert. Stoke get to the FA Cup final a few years after this point. I was watching the highlights, and Tony Pulis comes out wearing a suit, and I just started laughing. I was just like, "When have I ever seen Tony Pulis in a suit? He just tracksuit and cap. I bet he got married in a tracksuit and cap. You know?"
I was about to say maybe his own wedding or his kid's wedding, but apart from that, it's got to be the only time he's ever put a suit on in his life, especially in a football context. I'm absolutely sure.
Oh Christ, yeah. That really distracted me. I just saw Tony Pulis' name on my notes. That made me laugh. So yeah, it goes to Stoke, and listen, he's not an exciting player, is he? He's a pretty, don't say generic because that sounds like I'm slagging him off. He's just a solid centre back.
Yeah, yeah, he's just your, especially in the Championship, like you see so many centre backs of that ilk, you know. Big, strong, tall, good in the air, solid. If you're built like that, if you play like that way as a centre back, you're gonna do fine. You're gonna have a pretty solid career.
Yeah,
I think he was set in that aspect really.
Yeah, I agree. And he was often linked to bigger clubs, but I feel like that was just you know those players where there's just a slow news day, their transfer window, and someone just. Like nowadays, it's like, let's just link Pogba. So you know,
yeah.
I feel like Shawcross was always linked to bigger clubs, but
it's like it's like that dry moment in every transfer window back in the day when Leighton Baines was linked to Man U, just when nothing else was going on. I'm not even sure he came close to going. I'm really not convinced.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever linked with him.
Nah.
To be honest. Do you remember when he broke Aaron Ramsey's leg?
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of the first big moment that I remember from Shawcross. Remember watching the game. Yeah, it's pretty horrific. Obviously, I at the Leeds game the other day and saw the Harvey Elliott incident.
Yeah.
But I realised it's actually so much worse when you're watching that stuff on telly. Like you obviously just get much better view. Like I couldn't really tell with the Elliott thing, but I remember watching that Shawcross Ramsey and you're just thinking, "Oh, that is horrific." The sound as well on telly, because obviously you've got the mics, which make everything sound so much louder. It's just horrible.
Yeah, not good at all. And for a career that was completely void of all controversy, with doing this following the Joe Barton episode, it's probably the biggest one of the biggest talking points of his whole career, really, isn't it? And I know every time he went to Arsenal, booed to shit, didn't he?
Yeah, big time. But there was Stoke and Arsenal. They had it's probably a bit of a more one-sided rivalry in Stoke, but they love to proper make it a hard time for Arsenal. It probably started with that challenge as well.
Yeah, but Wenger would take the biggest bite in interviews about Stoke. He would just be so obviously rattled by the way Stoke play, and I just love it.
I know. It's just, Wenger is just got so much seriousness and like integrity as a manager. Proper old-fashioned. You could just tell he just could not take it as a joke as well. Whereas if it was like Warnock or Big Sam, they'd be absolutely lapsing it up, drinking it in.
Yeah.
But you could just tell Wenger hated it every time. Every time he went to the Britannia.
Yeah, because one of Wenger's proposals at FIFA was having kick-ins instead of throw-ins, wasn't it? I'm convinced that's purely just because he hated Rory to lap so much.
Yeah, just the flashbacks when he's asleep at night.
Yeah, that leg break was horrible. Shawcross nearly played for Wales, or was eligible for Wales. And I think Chris Coleman was like asking Aaron Ramsey if he was okay with it, if to get him called up. Shawcross, but he was never interested.
No. Which it's weird to me, and I hate to dig players out of this, but Ashley Williams has like 80 plus caps for Wales. If Ryan Shawcross played for Wales, he'd have a similar amount of caps to Ashley Williams.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't mind Ashley Williams. I'm not saying about Ashley Williams, but
no, I have nothing against him, but it's just I get that he wanted to represent England, if he's born in England. But it's weird because if he did play for Wales, he'd have played a lot more international games. But can only respect someone wanting to represent my country, even if it's only once. So,
and hey, we get this out of it. So
we get where would we be if Ryan?
God bless you, Ryan James Shawcross.
Oh yes, middle name. Yeah, well,
that's a reference to other pods. I'll tell you what else was a reference to other pods, and I will feed this into our England One Cap element of the episode. Callum Shaw on the first episode, the Ryan Shawcross, Stephen Corker episode, you said Ryan Shawcross had a torrid time when he came on in reference to his England appearance. Is that something you stand by as we proceed to talk about him?
Yeah, that it sounds like a direct quote, so I can't take it back. I'm gonna have to stand by it. Yeah, I mean, we're about to see why I stand by that, because it was a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, so all roads in this podcast lead through Stockholm in the 4-2 loss to Sweden. It always comes back to this game for me. Stephen Corker started, did a blinding job, and then Shawcross came on. Do you remember the double substitution they did? 74th minute, we're 2-1 up.
Yeah, I know Shawcross came on for Corker, which, by the way, England One Cap, gold right there. What a moment!
That is dirty talk. That is dirty talk. And I'll sprinkle a little more One Cap goodness for you. 74th minute, Shawcross on for Corker, and then we took Gerrard off in the same minute and brought on Carl Jenkinson. I love it.
Great.
10 minutes later, we were 3-2 down, and then we see another. Oh, it's absolutely woeful. And we say about Shawcross, he could have had more caps. Maybe, I don't know. We do that at the end of the episode.
Yes. It's just, what can you say? We can't blame Ryan Shawcross solely for losing that game the way we did.
No.
It's just one of those things that happen sometimes in football. Something like that happens and it just completely derails and ruins someone's career forevermore. It's just kind of wrong place, wrong time. And I think Shawcross went on record to say, and it's very true, that Ibrahimovic single-handedly ruined his England career.
Yeah.
Which is a nice way of looking at it, because it's true.
But he does make a mistake, but he just doesn't do anything good for the second goal. He's just not there. And even the commentary says that's what happens in the step up to international football. They catch you sleeping for a second, and then the world class players are gonna capitalise. That's what happens.
Yeah, I think it's bizarre though, cause especially like you say with that step up, when you're 2-1 up against not a great Sweden team. They had a world class player, but not much else there. You think it's a safe bet bringing on your debut, just a bit of experience, comfortably see the game out, but he was not prepared. He was not prepared for what was going to happen then.
No, even funnier, a couple of minutes later, Hodgson's like, bring Zaha on for 5 minutes. And then Zaha had a run out and then went off to Well, I had one more cap and never played again.
Yeah.
So I do feel, I don't know if I feel bad for him or not. It's just.
Nah.
I feel bad for Stephen Corker, all right, because he's fucking royalty on this podcast, Stephen Corker. And I tell you, if he stayed on the pitch, well, what point am I trying to make? I don't know. I'm just saying maybe we'd have lost 3-2 if Stephen Corker was playing.
Yeah, maybe. He might have scored another. You never know.
We're done. Stuck him up top, I reckon.
Yeah.
12. The season before that, were actually, that season and the season before that, two very eventful seasons in the career of Ryan Shawcross. Got to the FA Cup final 2011. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Man City. Yeah.
I nearly knocked over my water then. Sorry. Beat Bolton in the semi-final. I was 5-0. That kind of thing, because I was trying to work out why they beat Bolton 5-0. Like, did something happen? Did Bolton play like a reserve team? And there's no real reason. It just sort of happens.
No.
And it triggered the. I think that might be the first event in the downfall of Bolton Wanderers.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they've been teetering on the edge for some time, but 5-0 in FA Cup semi-final. That's
awful, isn't it?
The rough one, isn't it?
Then Stoke get through. Lose 1-0, Man City.
Yeah. I don't remember much about that final.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a thriller, does it?
No, I remember the Mancini scarf being the craze of the time. I remember all the City fans. I think some of the players had it on the pitch and the celebrations after the game. But yeah, a bit of an uneventful one, really. But,
yeah. Did that get them qualified for Europa League, or did they finish high enough?
No, yes. I think it got them qualified. I'll tell you for why. Because not usually the FA Cup winner. I don't know if is that still a thing where the FA Cup winner gets Europa League, or if they scrap that?
I mean, it was 10 years ago. It's this final, but I don't know if it still is.
Yeah. Anyway, and then because Man City finished third or fourth, one of the two, it then went to the second place because obviously they were already in the Champions League.
Of course.
Yeah.
So then Stoke the following year were in Europa League. Then got to round of past the group and then lost that one. I think that's round of 32. Might be round of 16. No, round of 32.
I think it was round of 32. I mean, they did better than I thought, to be fair.
Yeah. Lost to Valencia both legs 1-0. I mean, seems like a pretty respectable. But the point I'm trying to make, Ryan Shawcross that season played 49 games. That is very impressive.
That's a lot of football.
It is. Football. You might even argue it's nearly a game a week for an entire year. So well played, Ryan.
Well done, Ryan.
So this is that's sort of leading up to the England cap. If he's playing that much regular football at a high standard, you can certainly see why he's getting an England call up. Don't you think? I think so.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Said it before with Corker. If you're a young English centre back, especially in that time, you had a great chance. You had such a great chance to play. Yeah,
he got called up a few years before and didn't play. I think in the squad. And
I think he might have got called up twice. I think there was like a friendly against Egypt where he was in the squad, didn't come on somehow. Yeah. So it seemed like Egypt as his one cap would have been perfect. And then I think there were some more qualifiers like the month before he got his one cap, where again he was unused sub. So
yeah, well, maybe Robert Hoof was making him look good.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the rumor. You think Burnley are just Stoke? Burnley now are just Stoke 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I think the difference is Stoke did always used to make a few signings, and they weren't afraid to bring in a few. Whereas Burnley just baffle me. Their transfer policy must be they've not made like a big. They just signed that Cornet guy, actually, the winger. I forgot about him. But before that, it felt like 10 years since Burnley last signed Chris Wood, for example. Probably their last big one.
Hey, they re-signed Aaron Lennon. So
yeah, well.
Do you remember that Stoke? There's this amazing Stoke stat about from the Stoke side they got relegated. One of those players was in a Champions League semi-final for like a 15-year period, you know?
Yes.
Something like that. From like 05, 06 up until, well, actually, last year didn't count because Kurt Zoom was on the bench. I didn't count.
Yeah.
Up until 2020.
Yeah. I remember the whole thing. It was like when it was that period where they had like Bojan, Muniesa,
Choupo-Moting.
Yeah, there was a few, but that was a weird time. Weird time
to be alive. So yeah, I mean, I want to sit here and talk about Stoke City forever, but I'll just go down a wormhole talking about Pulis and long throws.
Yeah. Headbutting James Beattie.
I knew you're going to say that. I'm not.
We've not got time. Move on. We've not got time.
I know because what I'm saying now, because what I want to talk about is where he is now, mainly. It is perhaps the weirdest transfer, not of all time, but in the last year or so. He has gone to Inter Miami. All my notes I've read is what the fuck is Inter Miami? Don't you think that's just isn't that an awful name? Isn't that just an atrocious name for a football club?
So bad.
It's so.
You so obviously wanted to name it Inter Milan. Then just do it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're literally halfway there. You're over halfway there.
I'll tell you what, it's clever because it sounds like Inter. It sounds like a shit five-a-side team name, doesn't it?
Awful, mate. But I thought this when I was looking at the MLS, and I thought, I swear when I checked the other week, there was only about 12 teams in the MLS. There's over 20 now. There's all these teams I swear they've just made up out of nowhere.
Yeah, but I kind of like the names of MLS teams. Like they can just make up any name. Like San Jose, what were we called? The Earthquakes. I'm like, fucking hell,
That's really weird. That was the first one I thought of as well. They've got some great names.
And the old Miami team was Miami Fusion. I'm like, that's cool. I like that. And so why is this team not Miami and then a very American impact word? You know?
Yeah.
Not Inter Miami.
The MLS need to embrace what American sport is. It's, cities, states, whatever, and then followed by something like an animal or, tornadoes, stuff like that.
Something.
Just embrace that. It's great. It's great.
Yeah. Don't try and be something you're not.
No. MLS. Yeah. Stay in your lane.
And their signings are really weird.
Yeah.
Ryan Shawcross. Kieran Gibbs?
Yeah. They've got Higuain up front.
He's their captain.
Yeah. I probably should have researched this, but I thought it was funny. When I was looking at the team they played last game, there's another Higuain, which I can only assume is his younger brother, who's obviously... Higuain said, "If you want me to come here, you need to sign my younger brother as well." I assume it could just be two different Higuains, non-related, but I'd be amazed.
I've done zero research, but I am going to assume Higuain is fucking massive now playing in the MLS.
It's gotta be.
He's put on so much weight, and he's just sitting on that 6-yard box. I reckon he eats mid-game nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I can't even blame him. If he was sitting on hundreds of thousands a week, sitting on Miami Beach, he probably doesn't even go training every day, does he?
Does he? No, he don't. But he didn't even go. I mean, we saw him when he was at Chelsea. But yeah, bizarre. I mean, I really want to get behind the MLS. Some good football tops in the MLS, and I like to look at them. And I even looked at Inter Miami tops. They are quite cool.
Yeah, I like I actually quite like their whole black and pink thing going on. It's nice. Sharp.
It is cool. But the issue is it's got a badge on it which says Inter Miami.
Yeah.
They're not having my money. Simple as that.
No.
Okay, let's wrap it up and get on a bit of Shawcross stuff. It could get another call up technically because since he's still playing, he could come back. But I don't think that'll happen because he's basically admitted he's only gone MLS because he's not really fit enough to play in England anymore.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'll do my bit of. It's not name dropping, but I'll do my. So Ryan Shawcross lives near me. His wife is very local. His wife's mum actually used to be a supply teacher at my school, and she used to always love telling us that her daughter was married to Ryan Shawcross. I
don't know how you've never brought that up before.
Yeah, I'll go one better. I was outside the church during Ryan Shawcross's wedding. Peter Crouch and Asmir Begovic were fucking massive. I don't think I've seen two taller blokes in my life. But all the Stoke boys are there.
You were there by chance?
Yeah. Okay. Walking back from like Clark's, getting a new pair of school shoes or something. Hear the wedding bells going. I thought, got to walk back to the car that way with my mum anyway. And oh yes, Ryan Shawcross getting married there.
Yeah, well done, lads. Well done. Congrats.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's come to my football training before. He seemed all right. But I was surprised he moved because, like I say, he's got like a very big family around here. Like they all live around here. His wife's got local business around here. So yeah, quite surprising, but can only assume he's going to be making quite a bit more money and having a bit more of a leisurely playing time to end his career.
Do you think he misses it, Stoke, when he's in Miami?
Nah. I don't think he can miss the place. Maybe he misses the people, but
he'll miss you, mate. He'll miss you.
Yeah, he'll miss me being creepy watching his wedding. Yeah.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Well, maybe I'll ask you a question, Callum.
The big question.
The big question. Ryan Shawcross. Do you think he should have got more England caps? Do you think one was enough, or that he was lucky to get that one England cap?
Definitely don't think he was lucky because there was constant talks that Ryan Shawcross deserves to be playing for England. We were struggling with centre backs at the time. Our main ones were getting old, so definitely deserved the cap, I think. And I don't know if it wasn't for the traumatic debut, and I seem to remember he did kind of slip off a bit after that, maybe a confidence thing. If it wasn't for that, I'd have said that he probably should have played more. But I have to take that Sweden game into account. And I think after that game, just the stigma around it, not for Stephen Corker, he was great. Ryan Shawcross, yeah, I'd say one cap is about right. Yeah,
that's fair enough. I'm going to say he's a lucky boy.
Oh, he's a lucky boy.
I just I don't know. I am Corker biased. I'm Corker biased, and I'm always going to be Corker biased.
Aren't we all?
I don't know, mate. He's just okay. He's just a centre back. I'm really sorry because I want to get an all expenses paid trip to Miami and to visit him, but I just don't think he is England quality. You look at well, before the Euros, everyone was posting their teams online who they should put, and someone, I think it was an actual pundit, put their centre back partnership should be James Tarkowski and Ben Mee, and I couldn't really tell you why they were wrong. I just knew that they were wrong, and eventually, in a few years, they might even look back at this Burnley side, like we said, the same way we look back at Stoke, and maybe make it seem a bit more glorious than it was, perhaps. But really, just think it's bang average players just doing their job, but aren't quite up to the level of being international footballers. So, and Corker played so well. Why didn't he have 90 minutes? If Shawcross came on for Corker, why didn't? If that's his one cap, Corker deserved the full 90 minutes, I think. Yeah. Therefore, rendering Shawcross's one cap in away gone. I just no. Sorry, no.
You've charmed me there. That was you told a great story there, start to finish. I'll stick with me, but I can definitely see. I think depending on what type of man you are, what your personal tastes are, you could argue all three ways here. Whether he's lucky, deserved the one, or there's probably Stoke fans that think he had deserved a lot more. So.
Oh mate, well the people on the Potters podcast think he should have had a lot of. I've been listening to a lot of local podcasts from these. Matt Jarvis, I was listening to a lot of Wolves podcasts. This one I was listening to a Stoke podcast. They think if he didn't break Aaron Ramsey's leg, he would have, or that in the Sweden game, he would have got like upwards of 30 England caps, which I think is fucking ludicrous. But if they think it, who am I to judge? Hey,
who are we to judge?
Is this the first player I said shouldn't have got a cap?
Yeah, you're usually a bit more lenient than me, I think. So can't remember you saying it about anyone else.
Did I? I've been harsher on Ryan Shawcross than I was to Joe Barton. And that sums up.
Yeah,
a bad side of me.
It's never good, is it?
Shit. That's really finish a positive note, but don't have one. Ryan, I apologise, but I stand by what I said. Okay, Carol, do you have anything left to add?
No. Just thanks all for watching as usual. Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter at England One Cap Pod. Get following that. Like a few more followers on there, that'd be great. Been posting a fair few things daily, so give that some support. But yeah, that's all from me.
Yeah, lovely. I made a TikTok too, but I don't know how to use TikTok. But when I figure it out, we'll be on TikTok as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely get a TikTok going for sure. Yeah.
Thank you everyone for listening and watching. We'll be with you soon.